You guys have those really good days when you know your hair looks really good, you know? And I had one of those days recently, and I went to get a haircut. And you know how when you get a bad haircut, it's like the worst thing in the world? You know, it's like horrible, and you could kill the barber. But today, that day, I had the most amazing haircut. I went to the mirror and stayed there for 5 minutes. Whoa, this guy had the sideburns right this time. And I was like, oh, I was feeling good. I had my, you guys have your favorite jacket or shirt. I had that. I had my favorite leather, suede kind of jacket, color, it was brown. I had the haircut, and I had the jacket, and I was walking in the street in the city, and I was like, oh, this is a great day. It's a great day. And so now I needed to get the coffee. Because you can't have a nice haircut and a nice jacket without the coffee. That makes your walk so much better. So I go in to the coffee shop, get a cup of coffee. And if you wanted to bump into anybody in any day, it would be today. So, so I get the coffee and I'm feeling like this, and I'm there and I'm walking and I bump into, I just bump into my friend. So, I'm walking, walking over there, and I see my friend. And this music literally went off my head. It actually did. But you can let it go now. Sorry, thanks. So I'm walking, and my friend, I didn't see my friend for a very long time. And we were, pretty close friends a long time ago. And, I did know that, he was a surgeon, and he just opened up, he was a Christian that really loved God, and he opened up his own practice to serve the marginalized, And he just got recently married. I never really met her because, we somehow missed each other for the wedding. And I bumped into them, and he said, Sam! And I was like, word up. Today is the day. It's the best day to meet the spouse. Because I got the haircut, the coffee, and the jacket. It's the perfect day. And then so I meet, and then, and my friend says to his wife, oh, I told you about him. He's doing, really good stuff, and they're both believers, for God. And I'm just like, yeah, drinking my coffee, and telling them, and then she was like, oh, I heard so much about you. And then I was like, oh really? Awesome. And suddenly she goes, and I'm telling them about all the great stuff that's going on, and she goes, hey, Sam. I'm like, stop interrupting me. And she goes, you're spilling coffee over your jacket. I'm like, touche. And so I get a, napkin, I wipe it off, and we're going back to conversation. But the only problem is, I keep spilling coffee on my jacket. And I'm just like, speaking to myself now, what a terrible day. I'm just like, I'm an idiot! I'm talking to my friend and his wife, and I realized the problem. And I had to actually take a bathroom break. Like, what's going on? And I realized I had 2 caps in the coffee. And it kept spilling, and I was like, I'm not this retarded, what's going on? And checking myself and thinking over and over again. And this is exactly what Paul, this picture is exactly what Paul addresses in 1 Corinthians 1. Go down. And when Paul says, you can go down, guys, thank you. Don't make me look like this, thank you, okay. So, Paul talks about 2 people just like you and me, we always try to put in New York our best self, try to sell more than we are, to be, to be the smartest, the best. And Paul addresses what happens when the best becomes the worst, and your best self no longer becomes, it gets shattered. And Paul's talking to people in metropolitan cities like us, and how we want to be bougie or sophisticated or cultured or glamorous. And Paul talks about how the gospel actually speaks to people like us. Because we usually put our best self on, but the truth is, we're all idiots. You're like, no, yes. And this is what Paul says. Look what Paul says. He says, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise. The intelligence of the intelligent I will frustrate. Now, that word right there, when Paul says, I will destroy, when God says, I will destroy, it doesn't mean obliterate in the sense that it will just, eliminate it itself, but the word in Greek, destroy, actually means to let it run its course. So what Paul means here, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, it means I will let you, in your best, try to solve all the problems you have. And let's see where it gets you. So when you talk about intelligence being frustrated, you're talking about the end of how wise and smart and cool and sexy and awesome you think you are. And the truth is, what happens? Wall Street felt just like I felt right now, like idiots. The government feels pretty dumb too. Most people these days are feeling pretty dumb, which is great for the gospel. But, in verse 18, which got cut off, says, the gospel is foolishness to those who are perishing, but it is the power of God to those who are being saved. That's my favorite passage in the whole Bible. And my question to you is this: how could there be such a polarity, or how could there be such a difference of perspective between two people from one message? The message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but it is the power of God to those who are being saved. Why is there such a vast difference of opinion from two different people? One person thinks that the message of the gospel, the message of the cross, is idiotic. Oh, please, stupid. But to someone else, it's the power of God. It's literally their life source. Why is that? Well, it's a simple matter of perspective. And this is the perspective that Paul's talking about. It's about the intelligence of humanity. It's about how smart you think you are. How many people here think they're really smart? Now, don't raise your hand. I already know the answer. You think you're pretty smart, right? Pretty awesome. It's true. Yeah, I know. And I meet people all the time. You think you're awesome. You think you have it all figured out. Well, that's at least what we show to people. But the truth is, if you're really honest, you experience a lot of the coffee shop moments like I have. You're just a poser. Yeah, I know everything. I mean, I know people, I have especially friends, and it's kind of embarrassing to tell them this. You have friends that tell you stuff, like they make stuff up on the spot. Like they make actual stories and facts that because Wikipedia exists now. Google exists now. You can't lie about facts. And one time I had, in Staten Island, we had, a hedge fund guy. He went to Goldman and all that, and he came to our church after he got his MBA from UPenn, Wharton, and he came, and one of our church members had this problem. Whatever name you have, and we would call it Sam-itis or John-itis or Mark-itis or, something itis, because they would literally have this problem of fabricating truth. And you would be having a conversation and they'll go, yeah, well, physics says blah, 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 blah. And you know that E equals MC squared, and they said E equals MC3, They just and they just sound like they're talking about, and the guy comes to me and goes, Sam, I'm kind of struggling with something at this church, I'm coming here to find Christ. And I'm like, what's the problem, man? And back then, he was one of our leaders. And he said, I know, this guy, maybe I'm just being arrogant. Because I am arrogant, And he said, there are times when we're talking in the conversation, and this guy, he says things bluntly to me and other people I know that are not true. I mean, does he have a disorder, or does he have a problem, or what's going on with that? And I said, okay. I said, dude, in the car, I said, all right. This guy doesn't know that, but we all know that he has this problem of making things up. I'm just why does he do that? I don't know. Because he's a poser. He wants to act like he knows what's going on when he really doesn't. And the truth is, a lot of people are posers to a certain extent. You BS. I mean, come on, you went to college by BSing a lot. You write papers. You really don't care about what you're saying. I mean, a lot of us really, to some extent, be posers, and especially in New York, are full of posers. We want to be sophisticated and cultured people, but in the end, you're a poser. You're a loser. Nothing better illustrates this than, how many people like Yo-Yo Ma? Okay? Oh, okay, no one knows who Yo-Yo Ma is. You're not cultured at all. But I went to a Yo-Yo Ma concert like a couple of years ago with Lydia, and I got one of those like really good seats. It cost a fortune, man. And I didn't know concerts like that. Yo-Yo Ma, I thought Yo-Yo Ma played the whole time. This dude only played 2 songs. I was sitting there, I'm like, I got ripped off. I don't want to hear all these other people. Who the hell are they? And so he comes out and he's playing this masterful piece on the cello, and you see these 2 gentlemen, a wife, really nicely, dressed and has wine at the side of the seat and stuff like that. But it was really disturbing because this 2 older couple that looked really rich and cultured, are sitting right, in nice seats, and they literally fell asleep for the whole 2 songs. But it wouldn't be a problem if they fell. I wouldn't have known because I was really into the music. I was trying to get cultured. They started snoring together. Like, you know how like the climax of the music would go up, and they were like, I was just like, to Lydia didn't want to say, she was just like, look at the music. Don't look at them. And I was just like, and they're just like, and I was just like, what the heck is this? What's going on here? And, what amazes me the most is when, the encore, I still don't understand why at the encore, the classical musician goes in and out, like 50 times. And I said, what the hell's going on? She's like, that's what they do. I said, what? I have no idea. These 2 couple, they get up, and they're like, bravo! Clapping, and they're just, oh, this is awesome, And I'm just like, what a bunch of, what? What a bunch. I said, something you shouldn't say. Be poser. I'm like, what the? I'm like, these people, and they're just, they're just like, oh. And they didn't even hear it. A lot of times, people say, well, how does the gospel apply to me? How does the gospel speak to me? Well, Paul tells us, first, how does the gospel speak to me, people like me? Well, first, he's speaking to who? Pretentious posers. Let me ask you a question, okay? An honest question about your life. Okay, you're in New York, you have a good job, you might have been in a good school. How much do you really know? I mean, do you really know the hell is going on in your life? You have everything under control. You're the captain of your ship. Or deep down inside, honestly, you have no idea what the hell is going on. Because if you're honest, humanism, it's futile. I mean, we have crisis in Wall Street and the world. Come on, well, why we have those problems is because we're stupid. We have no idea what the hell is going on, and that's what Paul is saying, that he will frustrate. He will allow wisdom to progress and just make you look dumb. And this is what Eugene Peterson says in the Message version. He says, I will turn conventional wisdom on its head. I will expose so-called, come on, the expert says, buy housing, buy housing, buy housing. It's safe. As what? Crackpots. I love that. You know nothing. I know nothing. And this is the perspective of the 2 different people when it comes to the message of the cross. When you think you know everything, the cross is foolish. But when you know deep down inside that you have no idea what the hell is going on, and you're not that bright, when it comes to the challenges of life, the cross, God's wisdom becomes what? Very attractive. So today, I mean, if you look down inside and say, well, how in control are you really? Will you have a job tomorrow? Who knows? Will there be jobs coming out in the next couple of years after you graduate? Who knows? But the problem is this. We have to admit that, hey, we're not that smart. That's just the truth. And that's what the gospel is addressing. You know, and some people will say, well, all right, that might be true, but right now, a lot of people in New York say, well, I'm too busy to think about God, the gospel. Well, this is how the gospel speaks to people like us that are busy trying to strive for success as well. And that's what Paul addresses next. Watch this. So, verse 22 says, let's read this together. Jews, miraculous, and Greeks look for what we preach, Christ crucified, a stumbling block to the Jews and foolishness to the Gentile. Okay, now, how come the Jews, remember you got to think kosher when you think about the Bible, it's Jews demand miraculous signs and Greeks look for wisdom. Okay, well first, why do Jewish people in the first century look for miraculous signs? Why do they look for power? Well, I mean, it's really simple, right? If you're Jewish, they didn't have their own nation after a long time until 1947 when the UN passed the law, and then in 1948 when they actually moved in. When you're oppressed and you've been in captivity for thousands of years, what do you look for? You look for power. You look for something what you don't have. So salvation to people like the Jews was power. I don't want weakness, I want power. Now, look at the Greeks. Greeks look for what? For what? Why? Why wisdom? Because if you have power, and you don't have an overcompensation problem, and you're not inferior to anyone, what do you want? You want to be the smartest. You want purpose. Right? You want purpose. And a lot of times, this is what happens to people who live in New York. And New York, we think is so glam and everything like that, but really it's not. All the people came from the Midwest and other nations of the world trying to make a better life, trying to be bougie. When they grew up, in the Midwest, feeding pigs and, and the farm, or a lot of people here, I mean, your parents own stores. And one of the main motivation for people who live in New York, they're so preoccupied with trying to get what they didn't have. Right? I mean, I know people, and while you grew up, your parents struggled with money. They were working so hard, but they were struggling with money. And you said somewhere on the line that, hey, I'm not going to be like that. And the reason why so many people are driven so much is so that they can get what their parents never had and never put themselves in a financial crisis so they can feel like they're what? I mean, I've been saying it today in a song, right? Safe, sound, secure. So you see, when you think that you don't need the gospel, and because your salvation is money, security, just like the Jews. Or if you had money, you want to be the best. We're preoccupied. And a lot of people that I want to challenge today is, okay, I'm come to church and I think about this stuff, but really, you really don't have time and room for the gospel because you've already written it off like it doesn't apply to me. It does. The gospel can set you free. It can. How many people here ever go to dinner with people or restaurants with people, like, let's say 8 people? All right, say amen if you do. All right, you go, and you ever come across a time where you go to the restaurant with people, but you sit with the other 4 people that you don't want to sit with? And the other 4 people are talking about, and there's 2 conversations now, because obviously you can have 1 conversation for 8 people. So you sit with the wrong people, the 3 losers, and everybody else is over there. They're the conversation you want to be in. And you hear them talking, and you hear these people talking, and you're just like, you hear 2 different conversations, you're just like, damn. And it'll be rude to change seats now. So you're trying to listen to this conversation, but you can't because you're really interested in what? the other people's conversation. And sometimes you're like respond to it, think, oh, well, I'm not in that conversation. And you're preoccupied. And let me just tell you this. Some of us here, we're not going to let the gospel speak to us because we don't think it does. We're so preoccupied of getting what we didn't have, overcompensating and trying to get it, that forgiveness, what's that? Who cares about that? Weakness, no, it's time for me to be strong. I need to get mine. I need to come to a secure place. And this is what Paul addresses. And this is the second type of person that the gospel is speaking to. What is the second type of person? You're preoccupied loser. The only reason you want to win is because you lost, and you're trying to gain the loss. But after you gain everything you want to gain, then what? Michael Jordan, classic preoccupied loser. Michael Jordan, the reason for his ambition and drivenness wasn't because of success, was because he got cut from the basketball team in high school. Did you guys know that? They said, you suck, Michael. Can you imagine someone telling him that? You suck, Michael. He goes, I'm never going to suck again. That was his main motivation. I'm never going to suck again. I'm going to make everybody feel like they suck around me. And you see when he plays, even when he was 40, he was beating people up. Because he was driven by the loss in his life. And now, Michael has all the money in the world, all the fame in the world, but he's divorced. ESPN writer says, Michael, please don't go to Pink Elephant and try to pick up 22-year-old girls. It defames your legend status. It's pathetic. And Michael has that problem, right? I hope he watches it. Probably not, but maybe. The question to Mike and question to everyone, every preoccupied loser is, now what? You got everything you wanted to get, but you're not satisfied. You're not happy. What's your goal in life now? Hard question, right? That's also the gospel speaking to those people. And I'll wrap this around together. But watch. The third person that the gospel speaks to is this. Let's go down. And this is my favorite part. I saved it for people like you here. And they're here. Some people go, Pastor Sam, I don't care. I don't care. I don't give a crap about what you're saying. I have to be a winner no matter what. I have to be number one. It doesn't matter. I can't. I hate losing. I have to be number one. I have to be best at everything. This is exactly what the gospel says. It says what? For the message of the is what? To those who are. Why is the message of the cross foolishness to those who are perishing? Well, because winners don't like to lose. Winners, even if it means it will cost them everything, they'll sell it to be on top. But the only problem with that is that, you see, winning always doesn't work in life, okay? Let me tell you, love, marriage. Let me tell you, love is all about losing, okay? I don't own anything I own anymore after I got married. You think you own your laptop? No, it's the wife's laptop. You think you own the TV you bought? No, it's the son's TV now. Sesame Street is on 24/7 a day, or the choo-choo train. I mean, can I watch a movie? No. Why? Because it's Project Runway. Or it's something, it's who owns it, not me. But what? Am I a loser? No, I'm a winner, right? I lost to win. In love. When I was 20, 21, when I dated I said, Sam doesn't say sorry. Sam's always right. Sam says sorry. Please. And then my wife brought me to my knees. And now I say, sorry. Sorry. I know different variations of saying sorry. The guys in Enron, Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, they Wachovia. They lied through their teeth, trying to be winners, being the best. And they lost people's wealth, shareholders' wealth, people's wealth. People that worked for years, $3 trillion are gone in pension funds. Because people have to win, have to be the best. If you read memoirs of hedge fund managers, they say, Jim Cramer in his book, if you ever watched Mad Money, he says that the only reason he worked so hard was because of his insecurity and his incredible drivenness to be better than the other people, and he had to work harder than them. The question I have for you is, okay, you have to be a winner. Is it really worth it? Is it really worth losing your soul, other people's soul, selling everything to be a winner? Or is it possible? Can we family here, right? At 180 Church? Can we be honest? Yeah? Amen? Can we be honest? Seriously? Or are we being cordial? Okay, let's be honest. The question I have for all of us today is the gospel going to come bam, wham, and just change your life and you're going to cry? I mean, you did that already, right? I mean, really, we have to let this sink into us. The question in the end is going to be, are you going to pretend and be driven to know that you know what you're doing, you have everything under control, and sell everything to win? Or are you going to really admit the true human condition that, hey, not only am I effed up, but I'm confused. I need help. I need a Savior. That's the state. Those two people in the beginning verse 18, finds them something. That's when the power of God, that's when the cross of Jesus Christ, that's when the message of a Savior makes sense. But it applies to all three people. And that's what I want to pray that you would go through in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple of months, that you would allow the gospel, you wouldn't just write it off, but you would let it speak to you wherever you're at. Because let me tell you, once you realize, you can be honest and truthful about, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in bondage to money, security, to looking successful, that I'm losing my life. So, question. Will you let the gospel speak to you today? I pray that you do. So I'll stand and pray together. And watch. The last lesson Paul talks about is the third type of person is a perishing winner. A perishing winner is what? A loser. I want to pray right now that God would speak to us wherever we might be. So let me pray for you. Father, I want to pray of raw honesty. That wherever we might be in our life, you would allow the gospel to speak to us, that we wouldn't write it off, that it become clear to us, it would read us and it would speak to us, and in the end it would save us. Because Lord, the truth is we need to be saved from whatever addiction, drivenness, and bondage we have in our life. What is your obsession? What are you driven by in your life?